Welcome to the Graduate Writing Fellow Workshop on APA 7th edition, Riveting Information. I'm Derek.
I'm Jasmine.
And we have a PowerPoint followed by a question answer. So let us begin the fun. Let me see. Can you see this screen? Okay. There's a bit of a lag. One moment. There we go. So APA 7th edition. So I guess I'll begin. APA, it's more than just headings and fonts and all the nitty-gritty things. It tells you exactly how to cite, when to cite. Think of it as a cooking recipe, and you just got to follow the recipe to get really good cookies, and everyone loves, you know. It specifies the information that should be included in the references. The APA manual goes into more than just how many commas and periods you need in a citation. It is about non-biased, judgment-free language, person-first language, which is very much in line with social work values. And for example, I put in the slide, a man who has bipolar disorder, not a bipolar person. So, and there's many places you can go to get this information. There is the APA website, the APA manual, the physical paper book, and there are places like Purdue OWL.
All right, so this slide is about some APA variations. So your syllabus, depending upon your teacher, is going to have differences, especially this semester with the changes being implemented. So it's important that you either look and see if they specify what they're looking for, or check with them if there isn't any information. I've had a couple people tell me that they weren't positive what to do. So the example on here is that according to the 7th edition running heads, the running heads are not necessary in student papers. However, many of the professors are still going to require them. It just keeps it a little bit more organized on their end. And then another example is that you can choose from different fonts now. There's a couple different options in the 7th edition, but most of the professors are going to still require that you use the Times New Roman and the 512 font, just to keep everything kind of streamlined to what it's always been. Next.
So I made a small sample paper that just gives you like an idea of what the title page would look like and other parts, abstract references. So the title should be bold. Everything should be double spaced, including the title page and references, Times Roman font, size 12. And the running head would be this part at the top. Note, it doesn't have to say anymore running header. You just say it. You just do the title page, the title of your paper, but in capital letters.
So this slide is about the abstracts for the paper. Not all of your papers will require an abstract. Most of the time they will specify if they do. Specifically for anyone taking research, you're going to need them. So this page is going to be set up in a similar way. The title in all caps at the top, the page number, and then you're going to bold and center the word abstract at the top of the next page. And then it gives some information here, so it should be no more than 250 words. Although some of them are going to vary. I know a couple people have asked, because they'll say less than 150 words, but that will depend on your teacher. Then you're going to have a space for key terms that you're going to be using in your paper. And as you can see at the bottom, the word keywords is indented and it's in italics. And then you're going to put any words that are important to have in your paper, that are going to be reoccurring a lot, that should be considered important. This page doesn't count towards your total page number, neither does your title page or your reference pages, but they still need to be numbered in your paper. And then these pages also have to be double spaced, similar to the rest of your paper, which most of the time, if you start that on your title page, will carry itself through. Next.
In-text citations. So no matter what the source of the information is, you have to cite it. If you got information from somewhere in the universe, it needs to be cited. And if that work involves more than three or more authors, you would start with the first author's name and then et al. So there are examples here of both parenthetical and narrative citation. And the first information you see here about Schmidt, Harris, and Arnoldson, Arnolds and Stephenson, this is what you'd have in your reference page. Nope, did not mean to do that. In your reference page, and then parenthetical and narrative, you have those options for in the body of your work.
So this page is about some examples in the context of your writing, just so you can see how it will look with your sentences. So the parenthetical one at the top, you see that the sentence you're using, the information, and then the citation at the end is the last name of the author, et al., because there was more than 3, and then the year. And then for multiple sources below that, you see that they have them listed. So it's the authors, et al., the year, and they're all set up the same way, unless, like the last one, there's only 2 authors, so there's an and in between those, but then they are all separated by a semicolon to show that they're different sources. And then the narrative example at the bottom, this one is used within the sentence instead of being cited at the end, and it shows you how to set that up so that it will read smoothly in the sentence in your paper. Next.
For references, this image is taken straight from OWL Purdue. They have, I think, 3 or 4 pages worth of example references to show you pretty much every possible form of reference. So I would recommend, if you have a particular source that you can't figure out how quite to format it, go to OWL Purdue and it will lay that out for you exactly how you'd want it. In this case, the APA 7th edition hyperlinks, the web addresses need to be active. So they stay blue. They used to be deactivated, now they're active. References, same as everything else, should be double spaced with a hanging indent, meaning the first line is not indented, but every line after that for each reference is indented, as you can see on the screen. If you have a DOI available, you should include that. And I'll try to make this PowerPoint available to you. If not, then OWL Purdue, the website right there, at the bottom of the slide is where you would go. But if you just Google OWL Purdue, it will come up.
So this slide is about creating a template for when you are writing. So we strongly recommend that you create your own template to use with your future papers. It should follow all the rules of APA 7th edition, but can obviously be customized to your specific professor's requirements. So what you can do is create the template, save it with the basic information for APA 7th edition, and then create open it and save it as a new document each time. And that way you'll always have the original, but you can customize each one. This will save you a lot of time while you're writing, and it also makes sure that you don't forget the proper format as you're going through, because most of the time it's already set up for you. Next.
Exit that. All right. Would we like to show the sample paper then? Should I share that as well? Let me see. There's this reaction button at the bottom of your screen for those who are camera shy. If you would like to see the sample paper, please use the thumbs up reaction. Success. All right, I will bring that up right now. One moment. And making sure everyone can see this still. Okay, so going through again, we have APA 7th edition sample paper in bold, and then you'd go down and we have the student's name, the school department, or in our case, it would be the school of social work, Bridgewater State University, the class number and the class name, the professor's name, and the date submitted. And you'll notice that, and this is something that I notice a lot with people's papers, that this header should also be Times Roman. It should be the same font as the body of the paper. So just, I would double check that, because if they look very different, it sort of misleads the eye. Scrolling down, we have the abstract that you saw in the image in the PowerPoint. Notice that it is not indented. It is flush with the left side, and the keywords are indented over. And then you're going to scroll again. And when you're beginning a paper, you don't put introduction as a header, but you list the title of your paper in bold. This is, no matter what, you do this, but I can understand where it might seem odd because you have the running head at the top, but in case your professor doesn't want the running head, this double checks it. Make sure that your paper, the cover page, goes with this. So that is very important. You would then, depending on your paper format, would go through and have headers throughout. And again, APA manual and Purdue OWL would tell you about the different types of headers, when to indent, when not to indent, but they're always bold. And then references, again, Purdue OWL, and this was the link that will give you 3 or 4 pages worth of all the different types of references and how to do them. And each of these should be their own pages. If your paper ends up only being like a little bit on this page, you can't put the references below it. They need to be on their own page further down.
Does anyone have any questions so far? Lauren?
Just real quick for clarification on the et al. So in other words, originally when you used it, the first time you cited it in the body of your paper, you had to put all of the authors or all of the people in the article. But now you only need to put that in the references and you can go straight to et al. If there's over 3 authors. Is that correct? 3
or more.
Right, right. But you don't have to do it the first time with everybody in it.
No, they simplified that.
Okay.
Some aspects of the changes they made very much streamline.
Okay.
So that way you don't have to like list LMNOP, and you can just go A et al.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, if you're nervous about talking on video, you can also type your questions into the chat. Sorry, I meant to say that earlier. Here's a question. Does everyone know how to add the running head at the top of the paper? If you do the thumbs up. If you do not, do the clap one where you're like, help, help, help. Okay, we have 1 clap. Okay, so would it be okay to do a quick showing then of how to do the header? Just a refresher for those who know. All right, let me bring up my template. Share that. Okay, and just making sure once again everyone can see this. Okay, so you're going to double click on here, and I'm going to get rid of this to. All right, so you go to page number, top page. I do this one. I hit back twice, capital lock, and then if I can spell, title of paper, and then tab, and it's all set. But I do believe this is a different font now. Home, it is in fact a different font. So we catch that, we change it to Times New Roman 12, and that makes it uniform.
I have a question. So because we're no longer using the running header, we no longer obviously have to do first page different than the other ones, like that option for, do you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
So we no longer have to click first page different than the other pages anymore, right?
Not unless your professor specifies. I've had a few people where the professor said not to put the running head on the title page. That was just a preference they had, so you could do it again. Otherwise, they would all be the same now.
Okay, thank you.
When in doubt, professor preference takes precedent because it's the professor that's grading you, not APA format. So the format is a tool to help you get the better grade, to help you do better work. But when the professor prefers something, absolutely go with what the professor says.
I have a quick question. If the professor prefers that the running head is not on the title page, how in Word do you get it so it does not appear on that first page, but on everything else?
Oh, I will bring that right back up and show you. One moment. Okay. So you're going to double click on the top of the paper and you'll see this little box here. It says different first page. You're going to click on that and don't be scared when you do because the top might disappear on you, just like that. So you're going to then go here, add the number, backspace, backspace, title of paper, tab, tab. And you wouldn't actually put title of paper, you'd put the real title of the paper. But I don't know what to call it other than title.
But if it's not supposed to be on the cover page, how do you
Oh.
remove that anywhere else?
Oh, you just do that then, because it's a different first page. So I've now removed it from here. Sorry, I misunderstood. And if you scroll down, it's still there.
Thank you.
Should the title page have a page number? Excellent question. And the answer is yes. Title page, reference page, abstract page, they all need page numbers. It also helps for those professors that like pen and paper and like to mark up. It makes it easier for them to keep everything together. Good question. Has anyone seen the APA manual, the actual book? No. Have you seen Purdue OWL? If you have seen Purdue OWL, give the thumbs up if you've tried that reference material before. Okay. I'm going to put it in the chat, actually. So that you have that available if you're busy, if you didn't want to click, it's there in the chat. Trying to think, are there any other questions with respect to really any of the assignments you're coming up with now? Like, is there any formatting questions you have? Here's a question. And I never thought of it before it came up. Does everyone have Microsoft Word on their computers? Because there has been one or two students that didn't, that have been using a different type of software. Just putting it out there. The university gives you a free subscription 5 times. You can download it up to 5 times on different technology. So you can have Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint. So just putting it out there. You don't have to spend the money yourself, so you don't have to try and use other platforms where it might not be as conducive. All right, if nobody else has any questions, Or if you think of a question later, you can email and we can respond that way. I know it can be uncomfortable with the recording, but I hope that this has been informative. So thank you so much for coming, and have a good night.